try to make it, since you and I haven't done this one together. I'll
Yeah.
try to bring you in as much as I can, but I'll
Okay.
try to come up for air once in a while and then let you. Because if I get on a roll, sometimes it's hard for me to slow down. But I want you to jump in because
Yeah.
you add a lot to it. So.
You got it. I'll do as much as I can with answering on the chat as well. So
Okay, cool.
as you're talking, try to answer what I can there, and then maybe we have questions at the end. Maybe I can do it this time with sound.
Ada says my hair is beautiful. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Makes my job easier. All right, guys, we're gonna get started.
I bet she's not talking about my hair.
All right, guys, let's get started.
Awesome.
All right, guys.
Okay.
Welcome to an afternoon. You guys got me messed up now. Welcome to an afternoon edition of Pro Talk Presents. I have Ryan Reger. Ryan Reger is just exploding with private label products, and Ryan has actually mastered the easy way. And what is the easy way? Ryan is here today with his special guest, which I didn't know until about 25 to 30 minutes ago would be joining us today. We have the lovely Christy Michelle with us today. Christy's awesome. I did a webinar with her not too long ago, and it was just awesome. The information that she shares is unbelievable. You guys are in for a real treat to have the tag team of Ryan and Christy here. Unfortunately, Jenny's not able to join us today. Jenny is Ryan's partner on the private label The Easy Way. She has loads and loads of information and just an awesome person in herself. We miss not having her here, but I'm sure Ryan and Christy will fill the bill and fill her in nicely on what they need to do. Hey, guys, it's a pleasure having you guys here. Why don't you introduce yourself?
John.
Rowan.
All right, well, the first few slides are about me. So, Christy, why don't you say a little bit about yourself, and then we'll jump in.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, hello. Thank you. I'm so happy to be back so soon. Wasn't expecting this. We decided at the last minute, but I'm glad we made it work. So, yeah, I'm Christy Michelle. Ryan and I have been working very closely together for quite some time. He sort of plucked me out of the middle of nowhere when he heard that I had a special method where I don't spend a lot of money when I do my private label products. And we sort of hashed it out together, and I told him that I have a very tight timeline. And so I usually try to roll out private label products in a month, in 4 weeks. And I really have a strong goal of not spending more than $100 every time that I do that. And so we got together, and he said, well, I have the easy method. And I said, well, my method's pretty easy too. So we got along pretty well. And he asked me to be a leader in in the proven private label group that he has, and been good friends ever since. I wasn't planning an introduction, so I hope that's.
No, it was good. You did great, and I'll talk about you too. So, guys, she makes my easy way method look really, really hard. So she's going to chime in as we go through here. I'll try to weave her story in as much as I can, but I want to get through the content because there's a lot of stuff here. Basically, a lot of you guys already, probably seen some of this stuff before or know who I am if you've read the book Private Label: The Easy Way. But in November 2008, I was without a job and was working on a political campaign in southern Indiana. We lost, and so I only knew two things that were going to happen next. One was I was moving to Texas and that I was getting married. And so as far as work was concerned, I literally didn't know what exactly I was going to do. I did the traditional job searches, but I had followed Jim Cockrum, or have been following Jim Cockrum since about 2003, 2004. Read his book, Silent Sales Machine, and just kind of caught the internet bug as far as having an online business. I always knew that I wanted to do it, but now, in 08, that was the time to really make it happen. And so my lowest hanging fruit at the time was a furniture business that my wife and my mother-in-law had started. They were doing it very part-time. They had some wholesale sources of furniture, and they were literally just putting them on Craigslist here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And so I saw that, I thought that's really kind of cool. I wonder if we could do more, sell more if we posted more ads. And so I kind of just went after it. My wife says, no, you need to go get a job. But actually, guys, she was very supportive. I showed this cartoon as a joke. She did want me to continue looking for a job at the same time as while we were posting ads, because, at the beginning of a business, you never know how well it's going to do. But guys, God blessed it. And in 08, the very end of 08, we did $6,154 in sales, which not a whole lot. I mean, it was encouraging, but still not enough that we could, make a living on, because we got to remember furniture is high price points. So we're not talking about $25 widgets. We're talking $250, beds or whatever. And so that's not a ton of orders. But we were still encouraged. But in '09, the Lord bless, and by the grace of God, we did 250,000 in sales just on Craigslist, just in the Dallas Fort Worth area. And that was me going all over the place.
Wow.
Literally, yeah, it was fun.
Wow.
It's you look back at the things that you've done, and it's like, wow, I can't believe I did that. But at the time, it was such a blessing. It was awesome to not have to go to work every day to a job that I didn't enjoy. I've never really had a job. There's not been, and I can't think of a job I didn't hate or didn't like. I've always enjoyed what I've done. But now was the first time I was kind of on my own doing something that I set my schedule. It was a hustle. I literally was the one that was picking up stuff at the warehouse, delivering it all. There's a picture on the left of the house that we used to live in, of furniture front to back in that garage, as you can tell. On the right-hand side is a picture of the trailer that we used. That's a picture from Google Street View. The car drove by right as I was outside, and that's my wife's 1997 Toyota 4Runner that has 240,000 miles on it that we still have. We're trying to sell it because we don't use it anymore, but I drove all over Dallas Fort Worth in that and beyond many times with that car and that trailer behind, and so it was awesome. But in early 2012, was about April actually, we woke up one day and saw that a lot of our Craigslist ads, because by this time we were selling furniture all over the country, and we woke up one day and saw that all our ads were deleted. Not all of them, but a large majority of them. And if you guys have sold on Craigslist, you know the back end of your account will be pink if the ads are gone. And we woke up one day and a lot were gone. We're like panicking. What are we going to do? But the Lord had a plan, and that same just a few months afterwards, Jim Cockram decided to do an auction. And John, I know you won a similar auction from him, and that's how it kind of got you started too with your relationship with Jim. But Jim did an auction for that book that my wife is holding right there, called 101 Free Marketing, and one of the parts of one of the parts of the auction was a 30-minute phone call with him. But instead of a phone call, I asked if I could fly up to Indiana and buy him lunch. And because my parents live close to where he lives. And so he agreed graciously, but he spent 2 hours with us. And he told us about FBA. And guys, I'm telling you, the term, the lunch that changed my life, might seem like an exaggeration, but I promise you it is not. Meeting him has literally changed our lives, has changed our business. We're now partnering up with this proven private label that we'll talk about. It's the relationships, guys, that you built. The relationship with John that has blossomed into so many cool things. And I'm, starting now to get to know Christy, and we partnered up on her 4 weeks and $100 workshop. And there's just, you guys got to get out and meet people. Don't stick behind your computer and be in your own little world. You got to get out and meet folks, go to conferences, be involved in the Facebook groups, because you're going to learn so much from people. It's just so valuable. So Jim told me about FBA in 2012. So we shifted our focus to more small items, because furniture is big and heavy and costs a lot to ship. We were still selling furniture, and we did all the way up until about 2015. But
you're giving me goosies, Ryan.
What's that?
You're giving me goosies with all this talk.
Oh, really? But 2012, we focused more on FBA. And then 2013, I found the wonderful thing that we call private label. And so I wrote a book called Private Label the Easy Way, and I just kind of stumbled upon this method, and this is what I'm going to share with you guys today. And hopefully weave in some of what, Christy's story and how she makes it even easier. So what is private label? Basically, it's having your own brand of an item. The way I like to think of it is, if you walk into Walmart and you go down the aisle where the vegetables are, and you see like the Green Giant brand green beans, and then right next to it you see a Great Value brand green beans. And you guys know that Walmart doesn't have their own factories, their own green bean farms, their own processing plants. They go to companies like Green Giant and say, we want you to put your exact same can of green beans in this can, but instead of the label saying Green Giant, we want you to put great value around it. That's private label, guys. That's what we teach. It's literally essentially taking, somebody else's product, putting your label on it. It's that simple. It doesn't have to be hard, and we're going to show you how easy it can be. So the question I always ask folks is, what if you had one or two products that consistently did 5,000 or more in sales each month? And 5,000 is actually kind of is a very conservative figure. Christy, there's people in our group that's doing more than that. I know Abe's doing more than that on products.
Oh yeah.
But,
yeah.
And so, and John, your son, you guys, your business is doing more than that on many products. But like John, if you were talking about, some of the sales figures you guys have, some folks just may not be able to identify with that. It's kind of, you have big numbers, and that's great, and it's awesome that you do. But I put the $5,000 figure there for people who are just getting started to be able to visualize themselves there, because it's hard to say, you can be at 100,000 in sales each month on one product, which you guys can, but that's kind of a hard jump going from 0 to 100,000. $5,000 in sales is not a lot for a product, but it can do a lot for you, because think about if you were just making 20% profit on a $5,000 sales figure, that's $1,000 a month profit. Think about if you had two of those, that's $2,000 a month profit in just two products. That's the beauty of it. And you would probably feel like this lady right here. It's just, to me, Christy, don't you think that private labels kind of more of a, feels like more of a business than the hustle of retail arbitrage?
Oh my God, absolutely. Because you're always replenishing and you're always concerned about someone else jumping on your listing, or if they're going to drive it down. You don't have nearly as much control. And whenever you own your own business, you build your own business so that you can have control. And a lot of people look at it as control of, their free time and things like that. But this is just control over how much money you make and how much time and energy you need to spend on it. I mean, when I first started, I was going out every single day, and then at night, and I have a full-time job. So yes, you have a lot more control of your day and your time and your product, and you can really start to build out long-term plans with your business. So absolutely.
So you kind of touched on it already. Why we love private label. Number one is no competition. So if you guys, I know John, you sold Pokemon cards at the beginning with your son John, and you sold toys. You've sold all kinds of stuff, and you guys both know what it's like with Amazon listings that everybody else is on. It's not unheard of to have 50 to 100 people on one listing if it's a hot item like a Lego or something. With private label, guys, literally there is no competition. I mean, you're competing against other people that might have the same type of product, but you have your own listing. You're the only one on the listing. 100% of the sales go to you. So that's number one. Yeah,
and private label too, Ryan, not to interrupt you, but private label is such a huge benefit, because I don't know if anybody knows this or not, but Lego just became one of the newest ones to get restricted on Amazon. And Lego is huge for a lot of people. I know a lot of sellers that do arbitrage with Legos that are right now saying, "Uh-oh, what do we do?
What am I going to do now?"
Private label, you don't have that. That's not an issue for you.
Right. Absolutely. Right. And Christy, you kind of touched on this. Number two is replenishable. Think about when you're going to Walmart and you walk into a clearance aisle, you find an awesome product, you scan it, you buy 20 of them, you buy all that they have on the shelf. You get it to Amazon and they sell like within a couple days, and you're like, oh man, I want to get more of those. So you go back to that same Walmart, you can't find any. You drive to all the Walmarts around you, can't find them, just because maybe it's discontinued or whatever. Because with private label, it's replenishable. You get a hot item that's selling, all you got to do is keep it in stock. And even sometimes that can be a challenge. But it's really cool that you have something you can go to over and over and over again. Like Christy said, it seems it's like a real business. It feels like a real business when you have products. You don't have to have 50,000 products. You can have 5 products that are doing really well that can pay all your bills. It's so cool. It makes a huge difference.
Yeah. And whenever you have the fewer products, when you have the fewer products, you could really focus on them. I mean, there is a point whenever, there are people who have 100, 200, 500 products that they're selling because they're doing arbitrage stuff. You can't keep up with all of those all the time. Right. But if you had a couple products that you could focus your time and effort on and really build them up, absolutely. And that replenishable, even if it's a tough thing, if that happens, it's once every couple of months whenever you have to deal with that. It's not a daily thing.
Right. No, exactly. The third thing is it's unlimited. There's literally an unlimited amount of product out there that you can private label. So many creative ideas. Hopefully we'll get a chance to have Christy talk about some of her really cool ideas when we go through examples. But it's just unlimited amounts in different types of products that you can do private label with. Number four is you can build your brand. So instead of just focusing strictly on Amazon, let's say you want to build a brand of pet supplies or kitchen utensils or whatever, you can take that off Amazon, start a Shopify site, sell it on Facebook, sell it on Craigslist, sell it on eBay, whatever you want to do. It's your product. You don't have to be, married to Amazon completely. Amazon's a great place to start because customers are already there. And you definitely want to go where the audience is, but it's your brand. You can do literally whatever you want with it. So here's the pyramid of inventory sourcing. This comes from a book that actually John and I wrote called Beyond Arbitrage. And the reason I put this in here is that the levels below wholesale, all the ones online arbitrage and below, they have a very little barrier to entry. And what this pyramid is just kind of explaining, guys, is that this is how most people get started. It kind of shows the path, you could say, from going as you get started to private label at the top. And so a lot of people start with selling items from around their home, and then you got consignment, thrift stores, garage sales, retail arbitrage, online arbitrage. And now this is not exactly where everybody starts, but this is just kind of a natural progression upwards. The reason I show this though is that below wholesale, there's a very little barrier to entry. Literally anybody can open up an Amazon account, go to their local Walmart or a thrift store, or go to a garage sale on a Saturday, find an item and flip it on Amazon. And there's more and more competition. I know, John, you've been around longer than I have as far as selling online, and you know that there's more people now selling online than there were when you started. And it's going to continue to happen. There's going to be continued people that get in, and there's going to be people that get out too. But there is more competition, and it gets harder. More things get restricted, as we're talking just about Legos. So private label, in our opinion, is the pinnacle. It's where you have full control. I mean, you're playing an Amazon sandbox, so you can't control everything, but you can control, the most. It's the best type of inventory, in our opinion, for having control over your listing and your products.
Yeah, and Ryan, one thing that you were talking about as far as the pyramid while you're on here, sorry, Christy, is
yeah, go ahead.
Is on that very little barrier to entry. When you go wholesale or below on your line that you're showing there, and I think one thing that's important that they need to understand is that 10 years ago, some of those things, the barrier to entry were a little bit harder. Sure. Now you can walk into a trade show and buy a case of something where that was not heard of 10 years ago. 10 years ago, they had $5,000 minimum. So when Ryan's talking about barrier to entry, Ryan's also talking about because the actual economy and vendors and wholesalers have gotten used to the online selling method, where before it was the bad word, now it's not such the bad word. They realize that they can profit from these people that are coming in and selling to them by the case. That whole playing field has changed. The beauty of private label is with private label, basically, it's your brand. You're deciding how you want to make your packages. So the barrier to entry is a little bit different because your controllable is in full control, like what Ryan put on this pyramid. Well, the other way, as we progress more and more into the future, you're going to find out the barrier to entry to get into like retail arbitrage or online arbitrage is going to be so competitive that it's going to make your head spin, and you're going to be wondering how to make money.
So true.
Yeah. It's so funny when I see this because I've seen other versions of this, or at least when I first started selling online. And I remember thinking this was easy to the most difficult. And this was going to take, I remember thinking I just saw a picture of it. No one explained it to me. So I remember thinking that is so difficult, and that's going to take me years. And then I'm the kind of person that I have no interest in that. So I just sort of jumped my own. I think I went to one thrift store one time and it failed miserably. So then I went to retail for maybe a couple weeks. Then I went straight to our online, and then I went straight from online to private label. Yep. And I didn't even know. And when I sometimes I tell my story of one of the first products that I did private label, it was on a piece of paper, and it was so easy to me that I thought, okay, did I really just do this? And I really need the people. And it wasn't really until I met Ryan, and we had a really great conversation about this, that, you can jump right to that. And that's the beauty of, this is not difficult. This is not super easy to difficult. And just like I mean, John was saying that it's going to be more difficult at the bottom level. It's going to start looking that way and going up. So anyway, I remember reading this. My first and only thought was, okay, that's going to be really hard to do. I have to go through these steps, and it's going to take me years to get there. Those were my first thoughts, and it's just not true at all. And so we're going to get, obviously using this method, we're going to tell you why.
It's
but that was my
especially
first
not
and
true.
only thought when I saw this type of pyramid.
It's especially not true with your method too.
Right.
Your method makes it easier.
Don't box me in. Don't box me in.
No. Oh my gosh. Okay, so one way to explain what something is, a good way to do it sometimes is to explain what it isn't, or explain the opposite of it. So when we talk about private label, a lot of folks think of Alibaba.com. They think that they have to source overseas. And guys, let me tell you up front, I do not think that's a bad way to do it. John, your business, you guys sell a lot of items that you bring in overseas. There's absolutely nothing wrong with sourcing overseas. It's just when I got started, I was not at a place that made sense. That didn't make sense for me. So let me tell you really briefly how I stumbled upon this. I was selling furniture, as I just was telling you guys. And so I went to a manufacturer that made mattresses because I wanted to make something that was similar, not a mattress, but a bedding type item. And I asked them if they could private label it or if they could make it for me, because they're a manufacturer, right? You go straight to the source. And so because the reason I did that was because sourcing from China was going to be about $10 a unit, and it was going to be about at least 1,000 units minimum to get going, and that was $10,000, which we were building a house at the time, and just that was not even an option. And a lot of different things scared me about the process of sourcing overseas. So I went to the manufacturer and asked if they could make this for me. And they said, well, we could, but it would be cheaper for you to buy it from this wholesale company in Dallas. And so that's how, and I'll explain when I get to the easy way, that'll make sense to you. But most people think of Alibaba.com, they think of sourcing from China. And again, please know I'm not saying that's a bad place to do it. It's just when I got started, it wasn't a good place for me. It wasn't an option for me. And I actually think it's better if you're just getting started, start small. And the way to do that is the easy way. And if you want to scale up later and you get better margins, go for it. Source overseas or wherever you want to source. But here's some of the barriers or some of the obstacles you might face when starting or sourcing overseas. You're dealing with someone in a foreign country, which obviously there's some obstacles there. There's possible language barrier. Of course, the high shipping cost, and John could give this whole section right here. He's way more into the overseas stuff than I am, and knows by experience some of the things that you're going to deal with. But obviously shipping it overseas is a lot more expensive than it is for me to get my product from a wholesaler here locally. High minimum, again, 1,000 to 3,000 units are very, very typical. And so if you have an item that costs $5 and you have to buy 1,000 of them, that's $5,000, and you have no idea if it's even going to be successful yet. So why start there? Make that, step number 25. If once it's actually selling, then you can look to source it at a lower cost and go overseas to do it. But I just tell folks, don't start there. Customs, I had no idea what to expect with that. I've heard horror stories of people getting their things stuck at the port and they couldn't get it over. That kind of freaked me out a little bit. Of course, the long wait times, it's not unheard of for a product to you place an order and for you not to have it for at least 60 to 90 days. That's a long time to wait. So the easy way. What is the easy way compared to the hard way? First is source domestically. Wherever you are in the world, this can work. We have a guy in our mentoring program. His name's Jason Tay. He lives in Singapore. He sources from folks in the United States. If you live in the UK, we have people in the UK that source from suppliers in the UK. Or you can do this from anywhere and source in the United States if you want to, but this will also work in your home country. So suppliers with private label programs, there's programs already in place. Many times with some suppliers, this is very prominent in like the grocery and the health and beauty and health and personal care niches. A lot of those companies already have programs for private label. They understand the word private label. For this, think of companies that do soaps or lotions. Again, grocery is a perfect example of coffee companies, roasters, very easy to do private label with. But our basic one, the main one, is wholesale companies. My very first private label product came from a wholesale company in Dallas, and it's so super easy when you talk about finding wholesale companies to do this. Once they understand what you're trying to do, it makes it so easy. And there's a magic question we'll talk about here in a minute. No customs issues. So the product that I first private labeled, what is made in China, but a company in Dallas is the wholesale company, and they import it already. So they're already dealing with the customs issues and the long wait times and the high shipping costs. And so I literally can order just a case from them. I started out with just, I think 12 or 20, something like that. Of my item, and it's so easy to test with that. And as we're marrying the private label the easy way method with Brett Bartlett's proven performance inventory course, and that's what proven private label is. Brett talks about starting small, ordering 3 to 5 to test. You can easily do that. Now with a wholesale company, maybe you have to order 12, but golly, that's so much better than ordering 1,000 to test. But the point is, start small, and you can do that very easily with wholesale companies. Of course, the low cost of shipping, that makes it so much better. Some can ship to Amazon for you, which is really sweet. You never even have to see or touch it. And guys, the beauty of that is, let's say that you live overseas, or even if you don't, and you don't want to see your product. Well, the guy I'm on the webinar right here with, John, he has a whole warehouse, a fulfillment service. You can literally send the item to him, and they will prep it for you and send it to Amazon. So you can be on a beach sipping whatever you want to sip and have your private label products being processed by John's team, and just watch it sell. It's so cool. So there is no excuses for doing this. There's no excuses for being far off some country or being away or whatever, or not living somewhere. You can do this from anywhere in the world, especially if you leverage somebody like John's warehouse. And of course, it's very fast. I mean, I can have a shipment to me, like if I order, like this one in Dallas, for example. Of course, I'm local, 25 minutes away. I can order in the morning by email, and within just a few hours, a guy drops it off in a pickup truck. I have a neighbor girl that comes over and processes it for me. So it's really cool. But if I didn't live local,
incredible.
I could have them ship to they probably would ship to Amazon, but I could have them shipped to John's warehouse, and John's warehouse would do all of the inserts and stuff that we'll talk about here in a minute. And I, again, would not have to touch it. So it opens up so many doors. All right, so we talked about wholesalers, and that's my favorite source. Christy, why don't you, let's see, I'm trying to think, wholesalers is our source, but you have the 4 weeks and $100 method. Tell them quickly about promotional companies and how even easier than wholesale companies, promotional companies can be.
Hey, Ryan, before she says that, I just want to say one thing, because it's absolutely true what you said, because people think, well, you're talking about this, but is it really true? Well, we have clients that are from South Africa that we private label products for. Mm-hmm. So we have clients from the Amazon that actually I've gotten photos of where they're sitting out there in the middle of nowhere, and they can't believe they can't believe that they're making money. So it's absolutely true. You can do this private label business from anywhere. Okay, Christy, sorry about that.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely true. And someday I plan to travel and make this work for me, but for now I'm in Boston. So wholesale companies, another one that is promotional companies. And so when I say that, most people don't know who that is, but you really do. A lot of times, let me see if I have a pen. So promotional companies are the companies whenever you go to, if you've ever gotten a pen, let's say, and it has like some writing on there, that is a promotional company that prints it for you. Whenever you get that on mugs, or maybe you have, I don't know, little, I like to show examples. So whenever you come up, I don't even know what that does, but whenever you have sticky notes and pads or tote bags, and they have, usually it's popular, big companies that have you imprint their logo on these items, these very practical items, paper and pen. So that's what a promotional company is. So a lot of times they market themselves, and a lot of times you see them with big companies who they give these giveaways when they're out at trade shows, and they give away your pens so you can remember them and use them and get their phone number or whatever. That is one way to think of them. But if you can think about them in a little bit of a different way, where you're not putting a logo of your business logo on some of their products, you can put anything you want on there, and they don't mind. So essentially, they're saying, we have a blank product, and you can put whatever message you want on there, whether that's your logo, or you can do something really humorous on there, or you can do something really funny or cater towards an audience. So I do a lot of things with this company, with using promotional companies. They do a lot novelty, in the area of novelty, because a lot of times when you think about novelty gifts, it's about the message that you put on there to a specific audience, and it doesn't matter entirely what the product is. So I do a lot with paper products. So promotional companies is my preferred way to go, because they will brand things instantly, and you can do, it has all of the same benefits that Ryan just spoke about, that you're not going overseas, you're staying here local to the United States. You can buy minimum amounts. You don't have to spend very much. Like I said, I don't like to spend more than $100 if I'm testing a product. So all of these same things, I prefer to go there, but I have also done exactly Ryan's method, and I'll use wholesale companies all day long. It just depends on whatever product I want. So, but those are two options. You can do pretty much the same concept with.
Absolutely. And promotional companies are easy to work with. You don't even need to have necessarily a business. You could, right? Can't you just be an individual and say, hey, I want to order 20 of these? They don't care. They just want your money.
Oh, exactly. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to have a resale license. It's nice. You can get it if you want to, but you don't have to have that. You don't have to prove you're a business. You can just call us and say, hi, I'm Christy. I want to buy this. They don't care what you do or what you're using it for. It doesn't matter at all. So in that sense, it might even be a little bit easier, but,
it's totally
so it's, yeah.
That's what I said. You
like
method,
things the easy way, right? And I like things the easy way.
Your method makes my method look hard.
It's not true.
But it works. It works hand in hand, guys. So it's not like Christy's method versus my method or anything like that. Hers just is a unique way to find suppliers for private label products, and she just has some really cool creative ideas. But why start with wholesale, or why start with promotional companies? So it's basically, you can start small. So instead of like John and his business, they're importing containers of products, and so that's just a little. You don't start there. They didn't start there. They didn't call up a factory in China and say, hey, I want to order a container of X. They tested on a small scale, proved it worked. Okay, then now we're gonna jump up to a bigger amounts. But don't start importing containers. Start very small, test it. You have no idea if it's going to work yet, so why go out and spend thousands of dollars when you can use Christy's method or any other method and spend $50 and try it, see if it works, and then scale it. So, but the beauty of wholesale is that you can start small. You can order just a case of an item, or you can go to a promotional company and order 5 of a product and test it. But then also you can scale after it works. So let's say you find something, you have an idea, you source it versus via a promotional company or a wholesale company, and it works. You can order 25 the next time, or 50 the next time, and then it continues to work. Okay, next order will be 100. Maybe it works again. Next order 150. You can scale up, and you can also start small. So that's the beauty of wholesale companies. So what items are you looking for? So basically, this is where the 7-step test comes in. The point of, guys, is just pick something, but run it through the 7-step test if private label is your goal. So here's the things that stand out to me for private label potential. Number 1 is this generic, non-brand driven. So again, a way to look at this is what it's not. So a brand driven, non-generic product would be like an iPhone or a Nike shoe. You're not going to try to compete with them. So we're looking for items that are easy to get, that if it's in product A's packaging versus product B's packaging, it's basically the same. There's not really a big difference. Just again, generic, non-brand driven. There's not one brand that dominates the market in that niche. Number 2, small. And these are just general guidelines, but we tell people just getting started, pick something small so you're not going to be surprised with a whole bunch of Amazon fees for oversize. 3, easy to replicate. And the best way to describe this is, let's say you have a blue widget and you wanted to make it red. It would be easy to do that. If you went to a manufacturer and said, instead of blue, I want it to be red. So it's easy to replicate, not many working parts. Again, just very simple type products are a great place to start, because again, it's just simple. It makes it easy. I don't suggest going out and doing something with an electronic item. That just, it doesn't mean you can't ever do it. But when you're starting, it's best to do something that's simple. Retail price between 10 and 50. And last time on this webinar, I said that used to be my guideline, but then, I meet somebody like Christy who literally is finding products that she can get for 79 cents and sell for $8, $9. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I usually go for under $1 a unit, and yeah, you can sell it anywhere from $9.99 to $15.99 is
Yeah,
usually my range for things.
right.
So my ROI is ridiculous, but I'm not spending a whole lot of money to get it started. So
Absolutely. So, guys, the
all
reason
right
we
with
had
it.
this as the guidelines before meeting Christine, it's still in there as the general guideline, is because you understand that selling something under $10, you're going to get eaten up a lot with Amazon fees, and so it's a lot less profitable. But that's when the item costs you $3 and $4. If you're buying an item for 50 cents and can sell it for $8, my goodness, that ROI is ridiculously high. I'll do that all day long.
Yeah.
So absolutely
Yeah.
nothing wrong with doing something below 10 bucks. But the reason we like to keep it, don't go too much above 50 is because then your cost of goods is a lot higher. So if you have to buy 10 to something to test and your cost is $30, that's a $300 test. Now that's fine if you want to do that, but just, if you keep it between $10 and $50, it's your testing phase is going to be a lot less expensive. And it's just easier to test multiple products that way. The sixth test is the demand test. Is there enough people interested in that product to make it worth pursuing? And the way that we do that is I use Jungle Scout a lot. And for this, my threshold is, okay, the way it works, so let's say that your just look at something that's on my desk. I have some iPhone headphones, just the basic white headphones. So if I was doing this product, I'd probably type in, iPhone headphones, and that might not be a great example because that's going to be probably pretty competitive, I bet. But just type the product in and look what comes up. And I'm looking at the top 10 results on Jungle Scout. And for the estimated number of sales column, I want to see total among the top 10, at least 750 sales per month. Why 750? That's just my threshold. If you want to do 1,000 or whatever, do whatever you want. But for me, that's the threshold, that if it's above 750 sales total among the top 10, then there's enough demand for it. And I move on to the competition test. And this test is where I look and see, is it too competitive? And I would suspect that an iPhone accessory like this probably be very competitive, but you never know until you look it up. And so I look at the reviews section of Jungle Scout, and I look and see, I want to see at least 3 to 4 of them have less than 50 reviews. And so if there's everybody's less over 50, then it's too competitive. I move on to another test product. If it is, I do see 3 to 4 have less than 50 reviews, then to me, that's a green light to send it in and see if it's a good product or not. Christy, any
and those are general gut.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
general.
I mean, no, these are. Yeah, no, I was gonna say. I mean, those are general guidelines, and they're really good ones. And I think I always start at that threshold. But one of the products that I have private labeled, it actually doesn't match either one of those very well. But the reason is the demand is much less than 750 total. So there's not a million people coming after this product.
Mm-hmm.
However, the competition is minimal. So
right.
The traffic that would be coming there, actually, I don't know what it is, but maybe it's 300 or 400, so maybe it's half that. But I'm really only competing with 2 other people.
That's
so then
nice.
I'm still getting the same number of sales. I'm still pushing out many products a day with
mm-hmm.
that. So these are just, you have to sort of take those kind of, the supply and the demand. You have to really, you have to figure out what the number of people, the options that are out there.
Right.
For your same customer to choose from, and then know how many of that overall volume. So those are really, I mean, I use this all the time actually, but there are times when I will make exceptions because
Sure.
it's just so extreme. It's a different marketplace. So it's just
absolutely.
Guidelines.
Yeah, guys, she's so right. These are just general guidelines, and I tell people when they're first starting, if you need like a set to do, like do this, then follow this, but find what works for you. I mean, my goodness, if you can source products that are 50 cents and they don't meet the exact demand or competition test, and maybe they're a little bit big or whatever, for 50 cents, and you can only have to order a few of them to test anything and everything. So there's really, yeah, exactly. So it's just the main thing is just get a product in and test it. That's the main thing. If you're looking to do private label, then these are good things to go by to help you narrow it down. So here are some examples. When we talk about generic, non-brand driven, what are some examples that we're talking about? So a bamboo cutlery tray and drawer organizer. The reason I picked this, I did not do the research. Don't go out and private label this based on this webinar, because I have no idea if this is a good product or if it even passes all the 7-step test. But I do know that it passes the generic, non-brand driven test. There's not a bamboo a company or a cutlery tray company that dominates the market, that if you don't have that brand, then you've bought, essentially junk. So this is a good type of product that would be a private label potential. Compost bags, again, very generic, non-brand driven. I can't think of a certain brand that when I think of compost bags that you got to have that brand. So this would be something very easy to take out of the package and put it in your own. And we'll talk about that here in a second. Thermal laminating pouches, generic, non-brand driven, not a certain brand that dominates the market here. Very easy to do private label the easy way with something like this. Tent stakes, we use this as an example in the mentoring program. I have no idea why I came up with tent stakes as the example, because I'm not a camper at all, but know nothing about camping. But I do know that tent stakes, this would be very generic, non-brand driven, be so easy to private label the easy way, something like this. Just asking the wholesaler, the manufacturer, if you could take it out of their package and put it in your own. Now, the only exception to this is if it looks like there might be a brand name on this. So that might be tough if, this exact one, but I know I've seen tons of tent stakes listings by now by doing this. And I know there's tons of them that are just have no brand whatsoever on them. It'd be so easy to private label the easy way with them. Zombie gnome, this is my buddy Lance Wolf's example that he used on a webinar when we first launched the program, but I like it again because it just shows it's a very generic, non-brand driven type product. It'd be so easy to take that zombie gnome out of that box and put it into a white box, a brown box, heck, even a poly bag if it's not, breakable. And put your sticker on this on, the top or the bottom of the box or the sides, whatever you want. Again, a very generic, non-brand driven type product. And then we get, as far as the stickers that we use, we get them from a company called printrunner.com or uprinting.com. Christy is my resident Fiverr expert in our group. But Christy, why don't you talk real quickly about logos and packaging for, private label?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, first of all, I think anytime you're going out, we always say just get the product out there and just test it. So
right.
The reason that it's not, you've talked about this before, that it's not overly important. Don't overthink the packaging. That's
right.
not what people see. Whenever we were looking at the tent stakes or the bamboo, what was that, cutlery thing?
Cutlery tray.
Yeah, cutlery tray. You didn't see any branding on there. You didn't see that. I mean, even if there was or it was not, that's not what you're seeing. That's not what people are buying. So don't go crazy doing that.
Right.
Or trying to get some crazy good packaging, because that's not what people see and that's not what's going to drive them to buy it. That being said, you do eventually want to brand your product, whether that's the physical product itself or the box or the packaging that it comes in. So I do a lot of different things with not only just stickers. So a lot of times you can just go get stickers anywhere. You can print them. A lot of times I'll go buy labels at a local store and I'll go have them printed at Staples because I don't want to wait for them to be delivered from Printing or something like that. So there's a lot of companies out there that would do that.
Yep.
Something else that I've done before is I have used stamps.
Yep.
And I'll do like a cardboard box or something, because it's kind of like the craft look right now. The craft cardboard is sort of an in look right now. So I'll usually get some like gold, like I'll get a little stamp or something and I'll get like a gold thing or whatever and I'll just stamp it. And so, there's different ways that you can brand your box.
Yep.
But yeah, so whenever you want to, but for relating this to Fiverr, if you just want something, get a basic logo. Don't go crazy with that either, because you can always change that.
Yep.
But I'll go to Fiverr. I mean, I know a little bit about design, but I won't even waste my time doing it because someone will do it for me for $5. And so I'll go onto Fiverr and I'll have them, and I'll pick out a design that I think that I like, because I know I can change it later.
Right.
And I'll order from them and I'll say this is the size and the dimension, because I know that, because I've already looked at what my label, if my label is going to be a 2x2, then I say, hey, make me something that will fit a 2x2 ready for printing. And then I can have it available. So I could go a lot more into Fiverr, but I don't think we want to do that now. But anything else? Did I miss anything?
No,
Ryan?
you did great.
I could go on and on.
The point is, so she nailed it too, guys, is like we talk about, putting your your brand on a box like this or on the outside of a poly bag or whatever, but especially during the test phase, don't even worry too much about, you know, how it looks. And you may not even need a sticker or anything with your logo for the test phase. You're just testing. Once you know that it's working, then maybe you graduate to a fancy box, or maybe you never graduate to a fancy box. Just whatever works for you. Like Jennifer said in the chat room, people throw away the boxes. Don't, why fancy it up? Now, if you're competing in a product, right? Let's say that it's you're selling gift sets or whatever, and everybody else that sells the same gift sets has pretty bows or whatever. Well, then you need to at least be up to the competition. But for 99% of products, a generic poly bag is probably going to be sufficient. So don't overthink this.
If your packaging is going to make a difference somehow, if you're going to show that and that is going to distinguish your product from your competitor, then yes, that's a different story. But we're talking about if you had a zombie gnome, like no one's caring about the package that it comes in or the bamboo cutlery tray.
Sure.
You don't care about the packaging. Doesn't matter how pretty it is. So we're just talking about it, putting it in a packaging bag.
Yep. Absolutely, and Amy's right. Unless it's breakable. If it's breakable, obviously you want to put some bubble wrap around it. Maybe you need to put it in a box. But we're talking a minimal here, guys. This is the easy way. We like to do things easy, so don't do anything that you don't have to do. So like I said, the process is very easy. So you validate it using the 7-step test. If you have a product idea, run it through the 7-step test. If it passes, source it. Find it at a promotional company or a wholesale company. Buy a few. Get it listed on Amazon. Do a skeleton listing. Don't spend hours and hours on a beautiful listing, or hire somebody to do this for you. Just get your main keywords in there. Ship it to Amazon. Test it with sponsored ads using Brett's, the PPI methods of gathering data with the sponsored ads. See if it works. Are people actually searching for zombie gnomes? If they are, and it's working, you sold a few, then source more, send them in. And then at that point, decide, am I dropping this and moving on, or am I going to scale it up and order more? That's as simple as a process needs to be. So how do you approach wholesale supply? Yes, sir.
One thing on that you guys just touched on too, I think that's important. If you look at online sales versus, it's different. Like Chrissy was talking about, if you're packaging it for a retail store, then the package has to look really nice. But if you're packaging it for online, the way Amazon's set up and Walmart and all these places, they're showing you the item front, left, back, sides, everything. And one of the best that does it, and they don't spend any expense on their packaging, and they have a huge TV show, is QVC. It always comes in brown boxes that are plain.
That's true.
So it's
Very
not
true.
The people aren't looking for the box because they've already seen the product. They know what they're buying. Who cares what box it is, unless you're giving it as a gift. And then if you're giving it as a gift, then you usually buy it off a retail shelf anyway because you want it to have that presentation. But online sales, it's a totally different type of animal as far as how the package. Nobody cares when you go to QVC and you buy something. 100% it's coming in a brown box.
Right. That's so true. And you guys, have you ordered anything off of Amazon, the frustration-free packaging? It's always in a wider brown box. It's ugly as far as compared to like some fancy box, but again, John's right. Nobody cares. So why spend the money?
On that. We get that a lot.
You know, a lot of folks also tell me that they're nervous. Like, how do I talk to a wholesale supplier? And guys, I've learned a ton from John on approaching wholesale suppliers, and he's taught me a lot about how to work a trade show and all that. And guys, it's not intimidating. Once you do it, you kind of get in the groove. So, but how do you approach a wholesaler for private label? If you use the term, if you say this question to a wholesale company, can I private label your product? What they are hearing is, or if they say, most people ask it this way: can I private label your product, or do you have a private label program? And we're not talking about grocery companies or health and beauty companies that already have private label programs in place. We're talking about wholesale companies who aren't necessarily used to private label. If you ask them this question, here's what they hear: will you help me create and print my graphics on custom packaging for your products? They're thinking, okay, so I need to have my supplier stop production and do new packaging for this guy. And so in order to do that, I'm going to need 2,000 units. A lot of them will do it for you. It's just you're going to have very high minimums if you say it this way: can I private label your product? So the magic question, guys, keep it easy. Can I take your product out of its package and put it into my own? That's it. Once you say it this way, once they understand that you are the one wanting to do the work. So let's say the cutlery tray, for example. Let's say you bought those from a wholesale company and they come in a plastic bag with that company's name on the bag or whatever. You want them to understand that you are wanting to do the work of taking that cutlery tray out of that bag, put it into your own poly bag, maybe with your own logo design sticker, or maybe no sticker at all for the test phase. That you want to, if they understand that you want to do that work and they're not having to do it, you're just wanting to buy those cutlery trays like all the other buyers at that trade show or all their other customers, then they don't care what you do with it afterwards, and they don't care how many you buy. There's not a minimum. It's just their main wholesale minimums, which is usually just a case. Maybe it's $100 or $200 at the most. But if they understand that you want to do that work, it opens up so many doors. Christy, isn't that true? You're calling them right now to prepare for ASD.
Oh yeah, 100%. I ask them this exact same question. This question changed my world whenever I started asking it this way. It's so true. You mean the same thing whenever you're asking it, but whenever you phrase it this way, it sounds completely different. And they say, I don't care. I mean,
They
whatever
say,
you want to
okay.
do, because to them, a sale is a sale. So yeah,
Right.
okay.
That's so true.
Yeah.
It opens up so many doors. And then again, just if you guys don't get anything else out of this whole webinar, get this, that you can ask a wholesale company, can I take your product out of its package and put it into my own? If you're wanting to do private label the easy way, this is the key thing that you have to get. And it makes it so, this is what makes it so super easy.
And I think,
Yep.
guys, also too, that what Ryan and Christy are saying, as far as asking that question, it's huge, because when you ask it that way and phrase it that way, it's hard to believe, but you're having to retrain the vendor or the wholesaler into the way of your thinking, because when they hear private label, they automatically think, oh no, I gotta get this press, I gotta have this thing made, gotta have so many of these, it's gonna be at least a 2,000 minimum. But when you come out and say it that way, can I take it out of the package and use my own packaging? It automatically is retraining them, like, oh, they're on my side, and there's not a lot of work involved. And it's just a matter of, taking and making the wholesaler rethink the process of what private label means to you. You're giving them new verbiage that, and Christy can vouch for this because she's called the companies too. You're giving them new verbiage that they're like, wait a minute, no one said it that way before.
Yeah, no one. And the other thing is, they start thinking, or I've had one or two people say this to me, well, then you'd probably just keep coming back then. Like, to them, it's like, if you're going to go through all of this, because to them, it's all this trouble. You're going to go through your own packaging, and you're going to have blah, blah, blah. All the work that they know exists that they don't want to do, you're going through that. Then they think, oh, they're going to go through all of that. Then they're going to keep coming back to me. I really want to do that, because then I'm going to have a consistent customer. So yeah, I've had one or two people even tell me that they really like to hear that. So
that's awesome.
It's another spend. But yes, I've been calling and calling and calling, preparing for ASD and getting ready for our trip and walking around for days and days.
Yeah.
So yes, all of them have been saying yes, yes,
awesome.
yes. I haven't come across a no.
Love them. I love hearing that. So let me tell you a little bit about the mentoring program that we have. And John is in there. Christy is in there. Christy's on my leadership team, and she chimes in all the time. I don't see how she has time to do all the stuff that she does, but she's awesome and provides.
It's addicting. I can't help myself.
Provides a tremendous amount of help. But there's Jim Cockram's in there now. But it's private label, the Easy Way Mentoring Program. The benefits of it to you guys is obviously a never-ending supply of inventory with no competition. Take back control of your business. You can scale, have growth that scales. There are step-by-step lessons with assignments for accountability, and I think that's the key thing. Accountability makes a big difference, because if you guys are like me, I mean, how many courses and ebooks have you written or bought that are still sitting on your hard drive that you've never opened up? This is different. These are lessons with assignments to keep you accountable. And of course, the big thing of it is that you're not alone. There's a supportive community of experienced experts like Christy and like John and other sellers that have been through this process and that help you along. And it's a Facebook group essentially, and I'll tell you what's involved here. Benji, this has been a few weeks now, but he, super pumped about that. He got his first product live and inventory and in inventory and sold. Emily, one of our good friends in the group, says that private label, the easy way, is truly an easy way to get started with private label. Within a few weeks of completing the course, I successfully launched 3 products and sales exceed my expectations. A big thank you to Jenny and Ryan for creating a straightforward, actionable course on a complicated topic. So here's what's included. There are 20 lessons in PDF format. There's videos inside the lessons as well, for some of them. Abe Ortolani has helped create some of the lessons, some of the how-to stuff. When we get to talking about data and how to look at all kinds of, Abe's crazy smart. Christy knows that. And so he's been in there helping
how to
out.
look and really direct and read data in different ways that can really point
Yep.
you to good products. He's come in and he's been a tremendous help in that area.
Oh my gosh, he totally has. So there's 20 lessons. Here are all of them, and I don't want to. I'll go very quickly through them. The first 3, guys, you could skip because this webinar we talked about what private label is and why it's awesome. You could go straight to lesson 4, which is developing your strategy. 5, we talk about your goals. 6, your budget. And number 7, we talk about how to choose a product, an overview of that. Number 8, we talk about product driven, how to choose a product through the product driven path, which is how we've always thought before, things you're interested in, things you're selling well. Number 9 is the customer driven path, basically using things like Keyword Inspector, their trends tool. What are people already searching for? Then match up the product to it. Number 10, how to validate the product, which is a 7-step test. In 11 and 12, we talk about suppliers. In 13, we talk about what if you need to source overseas. There's an easy way to do that even. Number 14, how to test your product. This lesson 14 is awesome. It's by Mike Russo, who was one of our experts as well. And he's a PPI expert. And it's basically a synopsis of the whole PPI system. That's lesson 14. 15 is brand name, logo, and packaging. 16 and 17 is about replacing and receiving your order. In 18, we talk about sales and reviews. 19, maintaining inventory levels. And number 20, we talk about just doing it over again. Just keep the process going. So there's 20 lessons, a thriving Facebook community. There are now 800 people. We just went over the 800 mark. I think it was yesterday. Yep, and it's awesome, guys. It's totally thriving. There's so many people in there helping each other out. You can ask any question that you want about private label, and we're there to help. Of course, now Brett Bartlett's Proven Performance Inventory course is married in to Private Label the Easy Way, so you get access to that course as well. And then we're really excited about this. Starting Tuesday, March the 7th, Jenny and I, along with, I think we're going to get all the, some of the experts. I think Christy and Abe are going to try to be on there along with Mike. And this is going to be our live webinar training. So it's going to kick off a series essentially. And so we're going to go through the lessons in webinar format, taking questions live, and just go through those lessons. Now, there's not going to probably be 20 videos. There may be 8. I don't know. The last time we did this, we had 17 PDF lessons and there were 6 videos. So I don't know how many they're going to end up being, but it's going to be a live interaction with me and Jenny, Abe, Christy, and Mike. And going through these lessons, you can ask all the questions that you want. So it's going to be awesome. That right there is worth getting in. So
those are so powerful because you can ask, first of all, when they're coming up, what you're doing. We'll tell you what we're going to be talking about during those calls, and they're live. So ask the questions that you had. Hey, I'm getting stuck here. What do you think about this? There's going to be several of us on that call. So all of us, you can get input from everyone instantly. So those are really powerful calls because we walk you through them. So you've got videos and PDFs, and then you've got us. We're happy to help, and we're always there.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be much more fun. Last time it was just Jenny and I, and it was great, but it's going to be much more fun with you guys on there as well.
We do. We have a good time. We have a good time.
So that's everything that's kind of included in a nutshell. When Jenny and I started this, it's valued at almost $3,000. When we started this in 2015, our price was $797, and that was before we added PPI. That was before Christy and Abe and Mike came along in the mentoring program, and that was our initial price there. But guys, limited time offer, only $397. The doors close. They close Tuesday, March 7th at 10 p.m. So if you're interested in this, if you feel like Private Label the Easy Way is a fit for your business, then please don't wait. Get in before the doors close on Tuesday. And there's the link that you can go to. John, I'll post it in the chat too for you because I have it saved. But again, 20 lessons with the webinar series, with videos, with mentoring in the Facebook community, with proven performance inventory course. Again, it's only $397. The doors close on Tuesday.
And this is a huge deal. It's a huge deal, especially, with now that, because they're, marrying with the PPI. I mean, that alone was massive. And then putting that all together here is a huge, huge deal. And this is really where a lot of people are going now, is going the private label way, but doing it as easy as possible, because there's a lot of scary things whenever, private label used to be really scary. And I remember thinking that. I knew as soon as I got into this business, I didn't know what it was called, but I knew that's what I wanted to do. I was going to do private label. I wanted to do my own products. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't know how to do it. And then I saw this pyramid and they said, I've got to wait. In my mind, I thought, that's so hard and I've got to wait years to do that. But it's so, it really is. We walk you through step by step, and we have success stories and people talking about where they're at and the struggles that they're coming across, and we talk you through it. And we have some great success stories that have come out of that as well. So really, this is an incredible, incredible value. If I were not in it, I would be so excited to be in it because this is what I want to do. I want that control over my business.
One thing I want to say, guys, too, is that I just got back from California. Ryan just got back from California, and we can tell you that PPI alone, there was people out there that paid as much as almost $1,600 for 3 days training in PPI, and they're going to have people do it again in May. It was so successful. So the fact that they're throwing PPI into this $397 value, to me, is mind-boggling. It's just mind-boggling that you're getting that training that basically we went to do included with this program. And like I said, if you don't believe me, they're actually doing that training again in May, and I think the price actually went up.
It did, yeah. Yep. It did. John, that's all I got. Any questions or anything else you want us to cover?
Any other questions in the chat? Anybody have any questions while we have Ryan and Christy here?
Yeah, we've been covering a few that came out. Everybody's really, it seems like they're just absorbing everything, but if anyone has any last questions, I think I got most of them. I'm just going back through them now.
I think the question I would ask these guys that are on here today, first of all, thank you guys for coming on here. And thank you, Ryan and Christy, for coming on here. I meant data people, not you guys. And thanks, Ryan and Christy, for coming on here and sharing this, because one thing that I've known Ryan for several years now, I was introduced to him when I spoke out at CES 1 in Orlando, and we've developed a tremendous relationship and following of each other. And Ryan's the real deal, guys, and Ryan aligns himself with people that are only willing to help other people. And I truly believe that what Ryan's done with Private Label the easy way, and how he's mastered it and is sharing this knowledge with you guys, that if you want to go into Private Label and you want that barrier to entry to be almost zero, I mean, it's almost like not even paying money to go into Private Label the easy way, then this might be for you. I mean, if you're looking for that next step, or you're looking for that next income stream, and you want to break away from retail arbitrage or online arbitrage or even wholesale, and you're looking for another stream of income, then Private Label the easy way is how we started. That's how my son John and I started. And yes, Ryan's correct. We do buy and buy containers now, but it didn't start from day one by containers. If it did, I'd be talking to Ryan on another subject about, could I borrow some money?
Right.
But it didn't start that way. So again, guys, thank you guys so much for coming on here with Ryan and Christy and myself today, and hopefully getting an education on what's possible and what the internet's really done for people, and what Private Label the easy way can do. I mean, it's just a tremendous, tremendous opportunity. And really, the price for what they're offering is, I know for a fact when Ryan and Jenny put this out originally, it was almost $800. And I know a lot of people paid that. And I know a lot of people would pay that now because of what they learned. So again, guys, God bless. Have a great day. I wish you well with the rest of your day, and stay tuned for my next webinar coming up very shortly. I'll have a notice coming up soon. And Ryan and Christy, as always, it's a pleasure. Any last words for you guys?
John.
Absolutely. Nope. Thank you.
All good.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Yep. Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
All right. You guys take care, and thanks again.
All right. Thanks.
Have a good weekend. Bye.
All right. Bye.